Before watching this video, it is suggested that you first watch the video focusing on fair dealing, as both fair dealing and the copyright exceptions are intertwined with each other. In this video, we're going to go through 3 UK copyright exceptions that are relevant to research and private study and teaching. We'll now examine them individually. None of the content discussed in this presentation should be considered legal advice. Section 29, Research and Private Study. Under UK copyright law, works can be used under fair dealing providing it's for non-commercial research and private study. This exception has been expanded to include extracts from sound recordings, films and broadcast, as well as literary, dramatic and musical works. These can now all be used for research and private study. You must provide acknowledgement of the source and only a single copy can be made. This exception isn't intended to cover the making of multiple copies of works for whole classes, and in most instances institutions will have a license in place like the CLA license. No contract can override this exception, and this exception is subject to fair dealing. Materials used for private research and private study cannot be shared on a VLE, for example, like Moodle, or circulated among students. Section 30, Criticism, Review, Quotation and News Reporting. This exception allows the use of any work for the purpose of criticism, review, quotation and news reporting, providing there is sufficient acknowledgement and the work has been made available to the general public. There is no clear guidance on what represents criticism and review in order for the exception to apply. The copying must be truly for the purposes of review and criticism, and not purely for illustrative purposes. You have to use your judgment and make sure you do not impinge the copyright owner's right of exploitation. Quotes should be used as is necessary for the purpose. Please note there is no fair dealing exception when quoting from unpublished material. A key point relating to the news reporting portion of this exception is the exception covers written works but not photographs. Section 32, Illustration for Instruction. Providing it is for the sole purpose of illustration for instruction, teaching staff can utilise extracts from all types of copyright works, for example films, music, sound recordings and text, to demonstrate a teaching point. Copyright is not limited to digital distribution and can be done by hand, and is not limited to educational establishments. However, use must be for non-commercial purposes. This exception cannot be overridden by contract terms. Illustration for instruction allows works to be copied in any medium, providing the following conditions are adhered to. The work can only be used to illustrate a teaching point. The use of the work cannot be for commercial reasons. The use must be fair. For example, a small amount of the work not infringing on the copyright owner or undermining sales of teaching materials. Sufficient acknowledgement must be given to the source and rights holder. If you'd like to learn more about the copyright exceptions, please view the link that is shown on screen. To conclude, as stated, the copyright exception should only be used if a license is not in place, and as we've already covered, the institution has the CLA license, the ERA license and NLA license, as well as blocks of broadcasts. So you should investigate these avenues before considering the use of the UK copyright exceptions. However, it is important to be aware of the UK copyright exceptions, as they are another legal method of including third-party copyright protected content within your teaching and learning materials. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time.